Hi, welcome to Progressive Short Takes. I'm your host, I'm Joe Firestone. What I want to talk about today is just a little item I saw on Quora. It actually dates from November 1st. I'm going to share the screen. And we will go over the item. There we go. Okay, so Australia had been experiencing spikes um, in the city, of Melbourne, and they were pretty serious. What they did is respond to it in a very vigorous way. And then, as of November 1st, they had just recorded 0 cases of COVID 19 again after a big spike last month, that's in October, in Melbourne. What can the United States and the rest of the world learn from this? Well, a lot of the world already knows what he's about to say. Oh, this is a reply on Quora to a question. The reply was by Henry R. Greenfield, who lives in Australia. And he says, "What a shocker. Masks work, contact tracing works, people, all residents doing the right thing works, and when you don't, you lose lives, jobs, the economy, and you are miserable. Selective lockdowns work, closing borders work by state and not just international, making all international flights that come in go into 14-day, no exception, hotel monitored quarantine. Works after disasters where some people decided they didn't like quarantine, left and became super spreaders, killing a few hundred and forcing a complete lockdown for the entire state of Victoria, Australia, learned the hard way. If you are going to do something, be serious about it and do it right with no exceptions. Is all this difficult? Absolutely, but look at the results. This works like in Perth yesterday. There's a picture of Perth. People at the beach in Perth, generally speaking, social distancing. There are no masks. They're not crowded on the beach. But there it is, an example of what works. Here's an example of what does not work. And the author says this did not work in Sydney at the end of March. So in Sydney, there were exceptions at the end of March, and this was what happened on the beach. Terrible, terrible crowding. The author says, we talked a good game, but we didn't stick with it, and we lost big time. So we had to double down and get it right. Let's be clear. But many of us have gone through the quarantine. It is not fun. No one wants to be isolated where you cannot step outside the door of your own hotel room for 14 days and you pay a $3,000 Australian privilege, a $3,000 Australian fine for the privilege. But it saves lives. It works. Life is now normal in Australia. We can go to church. We have in most of the country large gatherings. All the restaurants are open. We play sports. We made our mistakes. We are opening up slowly. We are wearing masks where necessary. We test, and contact trace and wash our hands. Here is the lesson for the world. It is not just small countries like New Zealand, Australia has roughly 25 million people, that can beat this virus. As I have written before, it is not a woman thing or a man thing or a young thing or an old thing. It is an everybody thing. If absolutely everyone adheres to the rules and the government is serious, like I mean really serious, then COVID can be stopped. It is not cured. Travel is virtually cut off from the rest of the world. You have to apply to get in and out of Australia, but we have our lives back. We are not dying in hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, or hundreds, not even one or two. We are not dying anymore. The answer to the UK and Europe and other parts of the world, but especially the USA, is your leadership is taking you down, down, down. You do not have to be China, but you do not have to give up your freedom, quote unquote. You just have to pay attention. And you cannot play games or say it is over or you are rounding the curve when you have 99,000 plus cases in one day like yesterday in the USA. You cannot go into denial. Now, that was on November 1st. We had 99,000 plus cases. Of course, we know that now we have more like 200,000 plus cases, don't we? We had, what did we have? We had, well, these are today's figures, which of course are not complete. Let's look at yesterday's. We had 200,000 new cases yesterday, and we had 1,554 fatalities. But let's get back to Australia. That, by the way, is according to the Worldometer site. You cannot go into denial and say, well, they had other systems, or the people who died were old, or the deaths were not reported fairly, or it is all exaggerated. Really, come on. Say that with a straight face. Dear USA and its citizens, the president of the USA could have stopped this. We did it in Australia. He is lying to you. You are losing to China. We need you to wake up and get rid of that guy and rejoin the rest of the world so we can all get back to our lives. You matter. Please understand that. Come on, you can do it. And tell all the ding-dongs with the guns that are threatening everyone to cut it out and go home and grow up. Your shtick is getting old. We don't even want to laugh about it anymore. Vote for all of us around the world. Vote him out, please. Sincerely, the rest of the world. Well, of course, as we know, we voted him out. We did. Okay, today, all the states had their certifications in. All their certifications in. It's too late for legally overturning things in those states. All states had their certifications in, with the exception of Wisconsin. They didn't make it. They were late. I don't know if their certifications are in now. But Wisconsin didn't have enough electoral votes to overturn the election. Okay, in any case, they're probably in by now. And if they are, everybody has their certifications in. On December 14th, the Electoral College will be voting. Believe it's only 6 days away from now. It's really too late to change anything. Trump's chances are shifting more and more against him. the likelihood shifting more and more against him as time goes on. Now, has Australia kept to no cases since that time? No, they have not. Let's take a look at the Worldometer site. And let's see what we had as of yesterday on that site. Australia had 7 new cases yesterday. 7 new cases yesterday. Their total deaths from COVID, 908. They have about, what is it? About 1/12 of the population of the United States. So multiply that. We would, if we were like Australia, if we had managed things as well as Australia, we would have had about 11,000 fatalities from COVID. As you all know, we are nearing 300,000, from COVID. So they're not down to zero anymore. Now, they haven't had any new deaths, though. There were no new deaths yesterday. Let's look at the day before yesterday just to see what's going on. The day before yesterday, we had 183,000 new cases and 1,089 new fatalities. Australia once again. So there were evidently no fatalities then either. Let me just double check that. I want to be entirely accurate for you about that. Plus 15 new cases the day before. No new fatalities then either. So the author was right. Over a month later, Australians are still not dying anymore. Still not dying anymore. Very few new cases for a nation of nearly 26 million people. Okay. So how do we compare to Australia? We compare terribly. We also compare terribly to many other nations around the world too, but I've gone over them quite frequently. You know the statistic for Taiwan, 0.3 of a fatality per million. There are 24 million people in Taiwan. It has a sizable population. If we had had but 0.3 of a fatality per million, we would have lost 100 people to COVID rather than the 300,000 people to COVID that we are rapidly approaching. We were at 291,982 thus far today. This is now. We've lost 1,493 people today thus far. It's only 3 o'clock. It's only 3 o'clock. We will lose over 2,000 people today, maybe as much as 2,500 or 2,600. But we'll see. Anyway, that's it for this progressive short take. I thought you ought to hear what an Australian had to say. I'll be back with another progressive short take shortly. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Okay. God bless you, honey.